What's up guys, welcome back. This is anime fiction. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Phenix God Part 6. Now let's begin. Wait, I would like to engage in combat, Master. I desire to assess the extent of my personal growth over the past few years. I aim to demonstrate my value and believe that this fight is the appropriate means to achieve that. Vanessa exclaimed hastily, swiftly positioning herself between Naruto and Dracula to prevent their impending confrontation. No, he is my father. I will be the one to eliminate him and pierce his heart with a stick, Lilith also spoke up. Maybe you all seem to have overlooked my presence here. It is crucial that I am the one to eliminate him in order to seek justice for my mother, Blade asserted with utmost determination. Naruto was at a loss for words. They were all correct. Every one of them had a more legitimate motive to eliminate Dracula than he did. He had no animosity towards the vampire lord. His system failed to generate any quests to defeat him. It seems that engaging in direct combat with Dracula was not a productive endeavor. He didn't even have to demonstrate or push himself. He was fully aware that his strength far surpassed that of the king of monsters. Despite the challenges posed by Dracula's magical abilities, they will ultimately be inconsequential. Dracula was never a significant threat, regardless of the power boosts he received. This will be a one-sided battle in Naruto's favor. However, this could serve as a valuable training session for Vanessa. She will have a deep understanding of the boundaries of her current abilities and be able to assess her progress. You know what, sure. Given my expertise and dedication, I will abstain from participating in the fight. I will observe from the sidelines during this battle, Naruto said with a serious expression. Do you dare underestimate me? Underestimate the power of Dracula. I will demonstrate the power of blood, Dracula exclaimed with fervor, reminiscent of a passionate individual. He also called 3 of his generals to him, displaying his authority. Naruto was unfamiliar with 2 of them, but he immediately recognized the 3rd individual as Baroness Blood. Naruto couldn't quite grasp why Dracula would summon his vampire generals if he truly believed he was stronger than all of them combined. Nevertheless, Naruto was an equitable deity. He wasn't going to engage in combat himself, but he intended to give his 3 teammates the opportunity to face 3 vampires in a fair fight. However, there were now a total of 4 vampires, including Dracula. So one of them had to be let go. Naruto selected a general at random and swiftly unleashed an inventory portal window behind him. With precision, he launched a crimson energy spear into the general, piercing through the golden swirl. The vampire was unable to react. He passed away due to the spear, unaware of the cause of his demise. The room fell into complete silence, leaving everyone in utter astonishment. What? There was a discrepancy in the numbers. We all desire a fair fight, after all, Naruto said with a smile. Even Dracula couldn't come up with a response to this. There was an unusual sensation in his lifeless heart at this moment. He questioned the wisdom of making that deal with the Red Devil. However, he was unable to return at this time. He had already committed to the contract and finalized the deal, making it impossible for him to back out now. In addition, these hunters had decimated a significant portion of his army, compelling him to seek retribution as their lord and king. Blade and Lilith swiftly engaged the 2 vampire generals, while Vanessa readied herself for a confrontation with Dracula. As the Count tightened his grip on his left hand, his power surged, growing exponentially with each passing moment. His eyes turned a deep shade of red and his fangs and claws grew in size, while his height also increased. Vanessa attempted to imitate him as well. Additionally, she transformed her body to resemble that of a vampire, similar to Dracula, while enhancing her physical abilities through her unique copy ability. The 2 approached each other with fierce determination, ready to engage in a deadly confrontation. Vanessa skillfully dodged the Count's claw attack and swiftly retaliated by targeting his neck. They were both engaged in a deadly conflict. Vanessa, with her expertise and heightened mastery of her powers, was excelling. She was doing a great job. However, Naruto was aware that she would not emerge victorious in this situation. Vanessa, with her exceptional agility and expert fighting skills, skillfully evaded the majority of Dracula's attacks and even managed to land a few of her own. However, it's worth noting that she did not possess the abilities of an Omega-level mutant. She was unable to replicate all types of powers, nor could she indefinitely mimic someone's abilities. She struggled to replicate the immense power possessed by someone as formidable as Dracula. Eventually, she started to approach her breaking point. It was still impressive because she had managed to replicate about 90% of Dracula's raw physical abilities, although his mystic powers eluded her. However, as she approached her breaking point, Dracula continued to gain strength. He was becoming increasingly formidable as he absorbed whatever he held in his left hand. Naruto found it quite intriguing. He was confident that it was the object that the devil had given to the Count to enhance his abilities as part of their agreement. He pondered the object before him, using his senses to deduce that it was likely a type of stone or rock. However, he struggled to definitively identify its true nature. He entertained the idea of it being an infinity stone or something similar, but he knew better than to believe he was that fortunate. Whatever it was, he was confident that it would soon be his after Dracula's demise, as he could already sense his golden rule perk responding to the allure of the treasure. At that point, Blade had already severed Dracula's formidable vampire general, while Lilith had summoned a large number of critters to consume Baroness' blood. It was a disturbing scene to witness the adult female vampire general being consumed by rats and insects. Naruto observed the scene with a neutral expression. The vampire princess appeared to be quite menacing and filled with a desire for revenge in his eyes. Vanessa's confrontation with Dracula, on the other hand, had reached its climax. She had acknowledged her limitations and instead of attempting to outmatch the Count with his own skills, she had begun to employ her abilities creatively, swiftly altering her form to evade or launch unexpected attacks against him. Once again, the battle had shifted to a neutral side, despite Dracula's continuous increase in power. He was fully embracing the stone's power, as a vibrant red aura enveloped his entire body. It seemed as though he had entered a state of intense fury or aggression. He raised his left hand as tremors started to shake the castle and a fierce lightning storm erupted in the sky. Oh, not again, Naruto sighed, feeling frustrated by the storm outside. He was growing increasingly frustrated with storms and their aftermath. With Dracula's newfound power, the entire castle appeared to transform at his command. The roof dissolved, revealing a menacing sky filled with crackling lightning clouds. I have now even conquered the sun. From today on, an eternal night begins. Ha 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 ha. Dracula laughed with a sense of triumph, as if he had already achieved his ultimate goal. Naruto contemplated his role in assisting the three individuals against this formidable and enhanced iteration of Dracula. However, he remained inactive and had no intention of intervening unless specifically requested or if their lives were at great risk. Despite Naruto's ability to bring people back to life, he remains committed to protecting his subordinates and preventing any loss of life. Despite Dracula's intimidating appearance, none of the three challengers were afraid of him. They intensified their assault, with Lilith unleashing psychokinetic blasts and Blade wielding both a silver sword and a stake. Vanessa, however, persisted with her aggressive stance for a physical altercation. Unfortunately, the intense lightning storm became a major issue for them, as lightning strikes started to target the three individuals under Dracula's influence. Naruto, being the skilled professional that he is, swiftly resolved the situation by creating a formidable shield using his red divine energy. This protective dome, resembling the size of a pyramid, effectively safeguarded the ongoing battle from the dangers of the lightning. He had also trapped Dracula effectively, as every attempt the vampire count made to escape resulted in him burning himself upon contact with the powerful divine energy of the dome. However, Dracula still had a few tricks up his sleeve. He skillfully manipulated sections of the ground, transforming them into formidable spears. These spears swiftly launched towards the three hunters, simultaneously serving as a shield to protect him from their counterattacks. Okay, this is becoming quite challenging. He appears to be growing stronger over time, regardless of our efforts. Is it even feasible to defeat him? Even Blade's silver blade is proving ineffective. The few cuts we managed to inflict on his body healed almost instantly, Vanessa expressed with concern to her teammates. Her top priority at the moment was not just defeating Dracula, but also proving to Naruto that she had developed and was capable of handling formidable adversaries independently. Despite the unfortunate circumstance of facing an incredibly powerful adversary in the form of Count Dracula, she remained undeterred. There seems to be an issue. I am familiar with Dracula, and his current level of power is unexpected. His healing speed is unusually fast, and his weather manipulation abilities are far more potent than they should be. The lightning storm he has conjured appears to be encompassing the entire country of Romania, Lilith expressed with concern. Ahem. Naruto cleared his throat to capture their attention while standing outside the barrier amidst the raging storm, resembling a figure of great significance. What? Blade asked with a serious expression, his attention caught by the slight smile forming on Naruto's lips. Perhaps you should direct your attention to his left hand, Naruto offered as a clue. Blade followed the advice given to him and expressed his frustration when he finally understood that Dracula likely possessed a powerful item that he was using to draw power. What bothered him the most was that Naruto, despite being aware of this fact, chose not to inform them until they were in a desperate situation and on the brink of defeat. Focus on his left hand initially. That's where his enhanced power originates from, Blade informed the two girls. Lilith unleashed a powerful psychokinetic force blast on Dracula, while Blade strategically hurled a silver dust grenade in his direction. The powerful explosion not only caused temporary blindness to the vampire lord, but also inflicted severe burns on a significant area of his pale skin. However, his remarkable regenerative abilities allowed him to heal rapidly. Vanessa swiftly and efficiently transformed her body, becoming a formidable force with powerful claws. She swiftly approached the Count from behind, using her sharp claws to restrict his movements by digging them into his shoulders. Blade skillfully landed the decisive strike, swiftly severing the vampire lord's left arm with his blade. He deftly dodged an earth spear hurtling towards him with incredible speed from the ground. As Dracula's hands separated, his aura faded and the intensity of the lightning storm lessened slightly. His claws and fangs reverted to their original size as he transformed back into his base Count form from his beast form. Blade expertly impaled his gleaming sword into the center of Dracula's chest, effectively immobilizing him. Naruto couldn't help but acknowledge that the half-vampire was quite meticulous. But he is still not me. Naruto confidently thought as he summoned a powerful red divine energy blade and hurled it towards Dracula's reanimated left hand, which was attempting to crawl back to the main body. After Naruto's divine energy consumed the hand, a peculiar small oval stone with a rainbow hue remained in its stead. The Philosopher's Stone, obviously. That's the reason behind Dracula's continuous growth in power. The Philosopher's Stone is believed to hold an eternal life force and is highly regarded as the ultimate achievement in the field of alchemy. It is believed that in order to create a single stone like this, a significant number of souls must be sacrificed. The process of making it is meant to remain a mystery, lost to the passage of time. I consider myself fortunate. It will be an interesting research item for the scientists back at the laboratory, Naruto thought to himself as he discreetly kept the stone as compensation for his assistance, despite his minimal contribution. Observing Blade and Lilith from the corner of his eyes, he noticed that neither had acknowledged his acquisition of the stone. Now, they were engaged in a heated debate over who should be the one to deliver the final blow, the stake to the chest. Marvel and DC superheroes exhibit an exceptional level of selflessness. They consistently allow others to acquire the potent and precious artifacts instead of utilizing them to enhance their own abilities. They truly possess a great deal of compassion. Excuse me, could you please put an end to this pointless argument? I still have a few questions to ask our esteemed vampire lord before we determine who should administer the final blow with the wooden stake, Naruto stated, approaching the now weakened vampire lord with a genuine desire for knowledge and understanding. Hee. If you believe you can intimidate me into divulging information, you are mistaken. I will not disclose anything you inquire about, even if you were to harm me, you insignificant individual. Dracula screamed in agony as Naruto lightly touched him with his index finger. Who says I am going to harm you? Inflicting pain is far too simple and far too effortless. Oh no, I am going to subject you to such immense suffering that you will plead for a swift end, Naruto said with a sinister grin, activating the tormenting power of his touch of Nirvana perk. While Naruto himself was enjoying the moment, Blade and Vanessa couldn't help but feel uneasy witnessing the young god's recently discovered sadistic nature. Lilith, on the other hand, had a look of deep appreciation on her face, as if she were beholding a masterpiece. After approximately 10 minutes of intense interrogation, Dracula willingly divulged all the information he possessed. He informed Naruto about his agreement with a powerful entity known as Mephisto, who had granted him the Philosopher's Stone and an ancient royal succubus princess in a sarcophagus. In return, Naruto's soul would be claimed by Dracula upon his demise. He had aspirations to evolve into the ultimate being by fully assimilating the Philosopher's Stone and all the souls contained within it. Regarding the succubus, Dracula had intentions of marrying the princess in order to consolidate his power and become the ruler of the entire monster world on the planet. After Naruto completed his training and testing on his unique ability to inflict pain, he took a step back from the task at hand. "There you go. Now you two can resume your playful debate on who gets to stake the vampire," Naruto playfully remarked. "It's fine. Lilith can handle it. Her resentment towards the old vampire is far greater than mine," Blade remarked, his gaze fixed on Lilith. Lilith, however, was starting to rationalize that it was acceptable even if she wasn't the one to deliver the final blow to her father. As long as the Count was deceased, she would find contentment. She was taken aback by Blade's sudden change of heart. "Thanks, Blade. I truly appreciate this opportunity to seek my own justice," Lilith Drake emotionally said as she accepted the wooden stake from his hands and approached the exhausted figure of Dracula lying on the floor. She attempted to place the stake on her father's chest, hoping to pierce his heart in one swift motion. However, her efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. She was unable to carry out her plan of killing her father with the stake due to an unforeseen obstacle. Despite her best efforts, she was unable to accomplish the task. This shouldn't be possible. How are you doing this?" she said to her father, clearly frustrated. "I am not doing anything, daughter. But you see, when you became a vampire, you weren't just meant to be an ordinary vampire but my true inheritor, prophesied to be even stronger than your brother, to be as strong or even stronger than me. We are connected, you see. The same curse that makes you immune to all vampiric weaknesses makes you unable to ever truly eliminate me by your own hands." Dracula chuckled at his daughter's feeble attempt. "So my desire for retribution will never be fully realized, huh? I'll never have the opportunity to personally end your life," Lilith expressed with a tinge of sadness. "Perhaps not. Curses are indeed powerful magic, but it's unlikely that a curse from a mere gypsy would rival the strength of a god," Naruto calmly remarked. He offered her a comforting smile as he gently took hold of her hand, guiding her as she slowly drove the stake into Dracula's chest. Despite facing a curse, Naruto's immense power prevailed as Lilith successfully defeated and vanquished her own father. Eventually, Dracula's entire body disintegrated into ash and dust. Naruto had already activated his divine spirit perk and could see Dracula's dark crimson soul slowly drifting away. He skillfully captured the soul before it could elude him. He was determined to eliminate the threat of Dracula once and for all, and ensuring the destruction of his soul seemed like a reliable way to achieve that. He meticulously gathered the dust of the vampire lord, encasing it in a powerful force field generated by his extraordinary abilities. With a focused burst of energy, he obliterated the vampires, leaving no trace of their existence. He was determined to prevent Dracula from resurrecting and assembling a horde of vampires at all costs. As he prepared to vanquish Dracula's soul, he sensed a force attempting to seize it, but Naruto was determined not to relinquish it. He had a clear understanding of the individual attempting to strip away this essence. It was none other than Mephisto, the devil who had acquired Dracula's soul as a result of the vampire lord's failure to fulfill his end of the agreement. Naruto observed Lilith, noticing her powers and life force rapidly diminishing. She had a strong bond with her father. If her father didn't exist, she wouldn't either. She was nearing the end of her life after accomplishing her ultimate goal of avenging her father. However, Naruto had an idea. He wanted to test something that could only be done with supernatural beings who possessed powerful souls, like Dracula. Their power stemmed from their spirits, rather than their physical bodies. He enveloped Dracula's vampiric soul with his own powerful crimson divine energy. The energy behaved in a manner reminiscent of an acid, rapidly dissolving and consuming Dracula's essence. However, Naruto refused to let it dissipate into the surroundings this time. With unwavering determination, he clung onto the energy and approached Lilith. He extended his hand towards the female vampire, his hand passing through her effortlessly thanks to his spirit perk. "You're not giving up on me so easily, as we still have to work together to open the gate to the other world. We made a deal, and I expect you to honor it. If necessary, you'll need to compensate me accordingly." He spoke calmly, his hand resting on her chest. Blade was already feeling a sense of unease. He was unable to comprehend the situation. He considered intervening in Naruto's actions towards Lilith and his use of the red energy. However, Vanessa intervened and encouraged him to have faith in the deity revered by mutants. Reluctantly, he decided to give Naruto the benefit of the doubt and stopped. Naruto, on the other hand, stood there with a satisfied smile as he sensed his experiment yielding positive results. He could feel Lilith's body undergoing another transformation, returning to its formidable vampiric state. However, it didn't end there. Lilith's powers surged to match the formidable might of Lord Dracula himself. She could sense a newfound sense of power within herself, reminiscent of her father's prime. In addition, she lacked the same ambition that fueled her father. She inherited her father's powers and his supreme authority over vampires, but she believed she didn't have any of the weaknesses that plagued her previous self. She needed to conduct additional research to reach a conclusion. She observed the individual who had not only rescued her and ensured the preservation of her vampire heritage, which she held in high regard, but also noticed him wearing a triumphant smile reminiscent of a brilliant scientist. Lilith thought to herself, "Perfect. How do you feel?" Vanessa inquired from the back, her curiosity evident as she gazed at Lilith. "I feel confident and empowered, stronger than I have ever felt before," Lilith said with a sense of awe as she continued to admire herself. "Any unusual behaviors like drinking blood or having aspirations of world domination?" Blade inquired, as he already had a suspicion of what Naruto had done to Lilith. No, I don't think so," Lilith said with a small smile on her lips. "However, I believe I have the ability to assert authority over vampires if I so desire. I am acutely aware of their presence within the castle and feel a profound connection to them. By simply exerting influence over this connection, I believe I can exercise a certain degree of control over them." "Impressive," Naruto remarked, acknowledging Lilith's evident strength. He couldn't help but sense that she possessed a power comparable to that of base Dracula, at the very least. He couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy at her remarkable surge in power within such a brief period. However, he had no remorse for bestowing Dracula's soul upon her. Not only did it preserve her life, but it also ensured her gratitude towards him. It also presented opportunities to gain control over the entire vampire and monster nation in the future, thanks to Lilith. He had the opportunity to claim the vampire lord's soul and powers, but it would have been pointless. As a god, Naruto was completely incompatible with Dracula's vampire soul, and the power boost he would have received was insignificant. Lilith was the optimal choice for the task. Perhaps I could benefit from obtaining the essence of another deity or a divine being from a different realm. Perhaps I could pursue Ares, the god of war in this universe. Naruto, the god of war, seems quite impressive, Naruto thought confidently. So, can we consider this matter resolved? I mean, Dracula won't come back again, right? He has quite a notorious history of returning from the dead every time he perishes, Blade inquired, seeking confirmation from Naruto. No, he won't be coming back this time. I can assure you of that. Unless some other version of him from a different universe decides to step in and take his spot. In that scenario, I cannot be held accountable for any consequences, Naruto quipped with a playful tone. Haha. I may not possess the highest academic prowess, but I am well aware that the concept of the multiverse lacks credibility. Anyways, I should depart now. I have additional vampires to eliminate and a concerned wife to attend to. By the way, it has been a pleasure collaborating with all of you. Blade turned around to make his exit. Wait, Naruto said. Blade paused and glanced back at him. Do you have a job? The young individual inquired, casting a peculiar gleam in their eyes. No, not a permanent one. But I have a great opportunity at a nightclub as a trumpeter, he said with a sense of pride in his position. Oh, that sounds intriguing. Would you be interested in joining Meta platforms and collaborating with me? You'll have the opportunity to showcase your expertise in hunting creatures in the dark, and in return, you'll be generously compensated and provided with top-of-the-line equipment. Naruto enticed him with an enticing job proposition. He sought Blade's services to employ him as a personal mercenary and executioner for his impending domination of the monster realm. I have always worked independently. I'm uncertain about my ability to adapt to a team, Blade hesitated. Rest assured, I am a highly professional boss. The assignments you receive will ultimately benefit all living beings. Additionally, I am now requesting the favor you owe me. Moreover, the compensation is quite generous. Would you be interested in working for me, Blade? Naruto inquired, sensing the positive impact of his Golden Rule perk on Blade. All right, I'll work for you. However, if I find myself dissatisfied, Blade started. You can quit anytime, Naruto concluded. I just hope you offer competitive compensation and comprehensive employment benefits, Blade joked with a small smile, engaging in conversation with Naruto. We strive for excellence in all that we do. In fact, we go above and beyond by offering a secure accommodation for our employees' families, ensuring their safety and well-being under our company's care. Naruto reciprocated the smile, expressing his satisfaction as well. What about me? What steps should I take? Lilith inquired, feeling uncertain about her next course of action. You have the option to live a carefree and leisurely life if you so desire. Or you could take on the responsibility of uniting the entire monster world under a single rule and guide them towards coexisting peacefully with humans, without causing harm to either group, Naruto suggested, already aware of her inevitable choice. I'll choose the second option then. I'll be completely different from my father. I understand that even monsters can have a heart, she spoke with unwavering resolve. Very well, my organization and I are committed to providing comprehensive assistance in this matter. Moving forward, Meta will extend its support not only to metahumans for equal rights, but also to all supernatural beings, including those commonly referred to as monsters, he declared with an air of utmost selflessness. Finally, it's time to call Aiza, he said aloud. Finally, no more walking, Vanessa exclaimed with excitement, as if she had just received the news she had been waiting for. When Aiza arrived in response to his call, Naruto instructed her to organize a team to thoroughly search the castle for any remaining treasures belonging to Dracula. He also requested the assistance of skilled metahumans with combat abilities, as there was a possibility of vampires or other creatures lurking in the vicinity. Oh, and just a friendly reminder, if anyone happens to stumble upon an ancient, securely sealed sarcophagus, it's probably best to avoid opening it under any circumstances. Trust me, you wouldn't want to experience the unfortunate consequence of having your life drained away. Let's make sure to preserve it in one of our secure bases. I'll take care of opening it when I return. He couldn't help but feel excited about the possibility of being with a succubus princess of the highest order, who was resting in the coffin that Dracula had acquired from Mephisto. However, that had to wait. He refused to release her at this moment, as he was focused on honing his magical abilities and becoming more powerful. He instructed her to transport Blade to his residence and let Celine know to reach out to him later for a potential job opportunity within his organization. By the way, sir, it might be beneficial to consider giving our organization a distinct name. It could create confusion if our secret group and our public company share the same name, Aiza gently reminded him. This suggestion came to mind after Blade departed through a boom tube, and our organization members followed suit to clean the castle. Indeed, I had a similar thought. Frankly, Sister Celine's name isn't commonly associated with the organization, Vermilion Society. It lacks the impact, the intimidating authority that a clandestine group should possess. Vanessa also expressed her agreement with Aiza. I suppose you both have valid points. I will attend to it at a later time. For now, we have a crucial task at hand. Opening an otherworldly gate and locating a sorceress. Aiza, please create a boom tube to transport us to Stonehenge in the UK, Naruto instructed. After a red swirling portal opened with a sound, Naruto, Vanessa, and Lilith finally stepped through it. Naruto had always believed that opening an interdimensional portal to another world would be an exhilarating and unparalleled experience. Unfortunately, his assumption proved to be incorrect. Perhaps he had already experienced enough excitement when he found himself transported to the Marvel world. Due to his lack of experience, his performance could be considered average at best. Witnessing Lilith's spellbinding ritual at Stonehenge and witnessing the subsequent events became rather commonplace. Naruto had anticipated witnessing extraordinary sights such as fire-breathing dragons or flying hippos, but regrettably, his expectations were not met. There were a greater number of animals present than in the real world, although they were not significantly different from what he had previously encountered. Furthermore, it appears that Otherworld is not merely a small piece of land, but rather an expansive dimension that surpasses the size of Europe. Naruto, Vanessa, and Lilith were fortunate to have their reliable teleporter Aiza with them. Without her, they would likely have had to navigate on foot or by air in their quest to find Castle Lefay. However, with Aiza in their company, their task became much simpler. They only needed to make a trip to the closest town, which resembled an ordinary town but with a medieval touch, to obtain a map of Avalon. This country was believed to be a flawless realm established by King Arthur. After obtaining a map, Aiza efficiently scanned it and swiftly identified the coordinates of Castle Lefay. Without hesitation, she promptly opened a boom tube to transport herself to the destination. Rather uneventful and dull, Naruto thought to himself. He had half anticipated that his unfortunate streak would compel him to save the dimension from an interdimensional invader lord or some other malevolent creature. Or perhaps the reigning king of Otherworld would accuse him of wrongdoing and attempt to eliminate him. Thankfully, nothing of that nature occurred. So what's our next move? Vanessa inquired as they all gathered in front of the castle. Naruto remained silent in response to her. He maintained a focused gaze on the enchanting spell barrier that enveloped the entire castle. He was able to perceive it with his exceptional spiritual abilities, and it turned out that his abilities were incredibly valuable. What are your thoughts on this magic barrier, Aiza? He inquired of his mother box. Based on my calculations, it appears that the barrier was not designed to safeguard the castle from external dangers, but rather to contain and prevent something from escaping. It seems that the barrier is not merely a conventional protective measure, but rather a seal, Aiza explained as she carefully surveyed the surroundings. I understand. So my comic knowledge was accurate. Morgana remains sealed at the moment. It is likely that Merlin confined her within that place following her defeat in the battle against King Arthur, he pondered silently. Naruto confidently placed his hand on the seal, ready to demonstrate his expertise by activating his divine energy and observing the resulting reaction. As soon as he took that action, he sensed his energy gradually attempting to corrupt and consume the mystical energy of the barrier. Fascinating. It appears that my hypothesis was correct. I have extensive experience in working with a wide range of mystical, divine, and spiritual energies. He thought confidently, I can handle this. Now I just need to get in touch with Morgan Le Fay inside the castle. However, that proved to be quite a challenge as he needed to come up with something truly exceptional to capture the interest of someone as enchanting as Morgan, who resided within the castle. So Naruto demonstrated his expertise. With incredible skill, he unleashed his immense power, obliterating the mountain that stood before Castle Lefay. As a playful gesture, he left behind a message. Morgan Le Fay, would you like to go on a date? He primarily mentioned it because inviting someone like Morgan on a date would compel her to leave her home and discover who had the courage to pursue her romantically. Naruto took great pride in his intelligence. Perhaps he surpassed Odin in intelligence. Should I consider challenging Athena in a chess match at some point in the future? He thought highly of himself. Are you certain, sir, that pursuing a sorceress known for her darker tendencies is a wise course of action? Perhaps instead of resorting to such methods, you could utilize your divine voice to announce your intentions of striking a bargain with her, Lilith inquired, her eyes filled with curiosity. Quote. Naruto struggled to provide a response. Perhaps upon reflection, he made an error in composing that specific sentence. However, he could only express his disapproval by clicking his tongue, as he had indeed captured the interest of the mysterious and powerful sorceress. A figure of a woman, dressed in a green robe, gracefully descended from the castle, effortlessly passing through the seal barrier as if it posed no challenge. Wait, Wasn't the seal supposed to keep her inside the castle? How come it didn't even affect her, let alone stop her? Vanessa asked, expressing her disbelief. The seal is preventing her, or at least her physical body, from fully exerting its influence. However, due to her exceptional mastery of magic, she possesses the ability to partially circumvent the seal's limitations and manifest her astral self externally. Undoubtedly, she is an extraordinary talent in the realm of magic, Aiza responded before Naruto had a chance to interject. The newcomer sorceress seemed disinterested in their conversation. She was carefully observing and analyzing the individuals before her. She didn't pay much attention to Lilith and Vanessa, dismissing them as a vampire and a witch breed. However, her gaze immediately fixated on Aiza and Naruto. She was amazed by the sheer complexity and intricacy of the Mother Box, a truly extraordinary magical artifact. She recognized the significant potential within the box, if it could ever be unlocked. Regarding Naruto, she held him in high regard. She could feel a strong sense of power and presence emanating from him. However, she pondered how effortlessly a deity of his caliber could traverse into the realm beyond. Dimensions such as the Otherworld were equipped with extensive security measures to prevent unauthorized entry, particularly by deities. It is highly unlikely for any pantheon to permit one of their members to venture into another dimension, unless it is absolutely necessary, they have received an official invitation, or there is a significant benefit to be gained. Who wrote that on my lawn? Morgan inquired, maintaining a professional demeanor as she chose to reserve her judgment for the time being. Well, given the circumstances of being the only male here, it would be me, Naruto said with a sincere smile. Morgan gave him a disbelieving look, astonished by his audacity to confess that in her presence. Why? She inquired. Naruto was unsure if she was questioning his motives for writing that or if she was questioning his interest in dating her. Therefore, he made the decision to address both inquiries simultaneously. You have a captivating beauty, and I am in search of a skilled magic teacher. You appeared to be the ideal candidate for me to approach. Naruto offered her a hopeful smile, reminiscent of a protagonist from an isekai story, wishing that his charm would work its magic, just like his golden rule perk. However, the other two girls and Aiza listening to the conversation were perplexed by their god's sudden shift in demeanor, going from a fierce conqueror to a gentle angel in such a brief period. I understand, so you're looking for a skilled instructor, Morgan replied, brushing off his comment about her appearance. Yes, I am here to propose a deal with you. I am willing to learn magic from you, and in exchange, I will grant you freedom from your confinement, Naruto stated, reverting to his usual demeanor. He noticed that his attempt to charm Morgan with a smile had little impact, despite her possessing the golden rule. And why should I trust that you, a newly born deity, can assist me in escaping my prison, when I, as an established god, failed to do so myself? Morgan inquired, raising one eyebrow skeptically. Because you lack the ability to do this, Naruto said confidently, a smirk playing on his lips as he gently pressed one of his red divine energy-coated fingers against the magical barrier of the castle. The powerful energy quickly started to erode the mystical seal right before her eyes. Oh, I understand. It seems you possess the necessary qualifications for the position. Very well, what would you like as compensation for releasing me? Please refrain from suggesting something like a romantic outing. We are both aware that you are not so naive, she stated in her customary refined British accent. Well, you got me. But before I proceed, I have a few inquiries for you that will help me determine what I require in exchange for granting your freedom, Naruto stated. Please proceed. What did you mean when you said you were a true god? Naruto asked with genuine curiosity. I have a strong connection to the Fae, the mystical beings that originated from nature. My bloodline carries their legacy, and I hold deep reverence for the nature goddess, Gaia. After receiving some initial magical teachings from Merlin, I pursued further knowledge and honed my skills in ancient Fae magic. Through dedication and guidance from Gaia, I was able to awaken my innate abilities and achieve a higher level of mastery. Wait, so let me get this straight. You're saying you're a fairy. You know, like the kind with wings, a pink dress, and magical fairy dust. Vanessa interrupted, struggling to hold back her laughter. I hope I won't have to resort to any unconventional methods with you, young lady. It's not as innocent as people say. Morgan snapped in frustration, provoked by Vanessa's insensitive remark about her family background. Anyway, as I was saying, after I achieved a certain level of expertise, I attempted to confront Merlin and my brother in order to protect the kingdom from converting to Christianity. Unfortunately, my efforts were in vain. Despite coming close to defeating him, my plans were thwarted by the intervention of another mage known as the White Witch, who aided Merlin in imprisoning me within my own residence, Castle Lefay. She concluded her account of her near triumph over her adversaries. That's unfortunate. Moving on, I would like to inquire about the process of summoning or opening a portal to the Norn goddess of magic, Karnala, Naruto inquired. Oh, her? Excuse my language, but yes, I am familiar with her. I've actually had a confrontation with her before. I must say, her realm isn't the most welcoming place for visitors, Morgana said, her voice tinged with a hint of frustration. As I mentioned earlier, I am a highly skilled individual. Therefore, I am seeking to acquire knowledge in the realm of divine magic, specifically of the godly nature. I am not interested in sorcery or fey magic. It occurred to me that if you could assist me in grasping the fundamentals and perhaps even facilitate an introduction to Karnala, a renowned expert in divine magic, it would greatly benefit me. I have heard that she is considered one of the most powerful magicians in existence. Naruto shamelessly expressed. Didn't you hear me mention that I am highly skilled in divine magic, even surpassing Karnala? As a true Phi god, I possess immense strength. Additionally, didn't you recently ask me to be your exclusive magic instructor? I never made such a statement, nor did I explicitly ask for your involvement. I would classify our interaction as a mutually beneficial agreement, which incidentally favors you more. Additionally, I must express doubt regarding your claim of being stronger than Karnala, as your appearance does not align with such a notion. It has come to my attention that Karnala possesses the Norn stones, which possess the ability to manipulate reality itself. Furthermore, she holds the esteemed title of God Queen of the Norns and possesses a vast collection of magical literature that I can peruse. It stands to reason that she would be better suited to serve as a superior instructor. Naruto provocatively taunted her. Oh please, I also have a castle and I believe this dimension is rightfully mine as its sole queen. If it weren't for the final battle against my brother and that questionable old mage, I would be ruling it by now, so I am a god queen in my own right. Additionally, I may not possess as many books as her, but my knowledge and understanding surpass hers. I even possess the Matrix Stone, the 10th Norn stone that is said to control the remaining 9 stones. She spoke hurriedly, aiming to impress Naruto and boost her ego. Oh, I suppose I may have been mistaken. Perhaps you possess superior teaching abilities compared to Karnala. It's even possible that you surpass Enchantress, the esteemed Asgardian sorceress. Naruto exclaimed, clearly impressed. Don't even think about comparing me to that person. I hold myself to a higher standard. I prioritize intellectual growth and acquiring knowledge, rather than engaging in casual relationships for personal gain, Lefay proudly stated. I see. In that case, it seems like the decision is quite evident, he remarked, smoothly retrieving a contract paper from his inventory. With a composed demeanor, he softly uttered a few lines, his hand gently resting on the surface of the document. He received a binding contract from Selene. It was said to be derived from Mephisto's contract magic and once signed, it became binding for not just sorcerers but also gods and demons. It was commonly utilized by sorcerers and mages to negotiate agreements amongst one another. Here, the contract paper to finalize our agreement then, unless you suggest Karnala or Enchantress as alternatives. I mean, they do possess divine qualities from birth, after all. Naruto remarked, struggling to contain his amusement at how effortlessly he had deceived the ancient mage. He wanted to imply that this was likely a result of his exceptional intellect, but he recognized that it was more likely a consequence of her inflated ego and limited social interactions over the past few centuries since her confinement. It's possible that she had become somewhat lacking in sharpness when it came to intellectual challenges. Morgan swiftly took the paper from his grasp, swiftly perused its contents, and gazed at him. I comprehend that I must impart my knowledge of the mystical arts to you with utmost dedication. However, I am curious as to why I am prohibited from engaging in any form of aggression towards you for the next 20 years. Additionally, I am intrigued by the requirement to assist you in battle should you require my aid, she inquired. She was wise enough to refrain from signing any contract without thoroughly reading and analyzing it beforehand. Because of your exceptional beauty and incredible teaching abilities, I would never dare to challenge you. However, in the unlikely event that I were to encounter formidable opponents like Carnilla or Enchantress, I believe you could assist me in demonstrating the true power of the mystic arts. Naruto continued to flatter her as he navigated his way through the conversation. I understand, she remarked, meticulously casting a few additional spells on the contract to thoroughly examine it for any potential issues. Once she had finished, she confidently made her decision and signed the contract with unwavering commitment. Naruto performed the same action, utilizing a red divine energy blade to create a minor incision on his thumb. After that, he merely touched the castle's barrier with his right hand and started discharging his energy rapidly. His energy swiftly extended and covered the whole barrier, dissolving the magical energy inside it, gradually weakening and shattering the enchantment. Soon, the castle seemed to be wrapped in a crimson dome as his energy corroded and dissolved the whole seal, much like acid. And flick, Naruto continued, delicately flicking the barrier with his fingertips. The whole barrier, or what was remained of it, shattered like glass in an explosion. You flicked too hard, Lilith murmured as she avoided a chunk of thiered glass that flew at her and swiftly vanished into the surroundings. You're free now, Morgan Lefay, so I guess you should get ready for my first lesson soon. As for going to Carnilla's realm, I think I'll postpone it for later. Maybe you'll prove to be a better teacher than her after all, though I'd probably try to borrow some books and the Norn stones from her later. Naruto said to her with a carefree expression and a smile that seemed to say, I got you. You duped me, didn't you? I can't believe I fell for the oldest trick in the book. Sigh, I almost miss my stupid brother now, Morgan said in a fatigued tone. She never imagined that someone would attempt to swindle her and succeed. How far I have fallen, she thought to herself as she saw the young god turn around and gleefully trot away to the two females while speaking with his floating box as if he were the brightest man alive. Not the brightest, but certainly one of the most fascinating. A little grin pulled at her lips. After rescuing Morgan, Naruto and the others returned to Earth, where they were given a free tour of Castle Lefay by Morgan. He was concerned that they would be assaulted by Avalonian knights and magicians once they discovered Morgan was free and that they had released her. But it never occurred. Morgan simply said that she was sheltering herself and her castle from the mediocre sorcerers that are now present in Avalon. Merlin, a high-level sorcerer supreme, was no longer present in Avalon and would be unable to detect her escape. Even the White Witch, the one sorceress Morgan saw as a true danger to her and her future rule, did not appear. That made Naruto very delighted. He had a basic understanding of the identity of the White Witch from the comics. Her name was going to be Saturnine, or something. Although she was not featured in many comic book pages, she was nonetheless one of the most powerful sorcerers of all time, even greater than the Ancient One herself. She was also in control of Starlight Citadel, Marvel's omniversal headquarters, which is analogous to DC's Rock of Eternity. Naruto was certain that she would beat him quicker than he could say, "Magical girl Emma Frost." That's one of the reasons he chose to depart for Earth and get out of Otherworld for a while till things calm down, and he's certain she won't attempt to rectify his anomaly. But Morgan intended to remain here and prepare to regain some of the power she had lost during centuries of imprisonment, as well as form plans to reclaim her realm and determine how to best begin instructing Naruto in the mystic arts. So Naruto decided to return a month later, since he had left the Otherworld for now. Coming for her would be considerably simpler since his mother box had already stored the Otherworld's spatial coordinates as well as the full geography of Avalon in her memory. So he could merely open a boom tube to this location whenever he wanted. He also provided Morgan the location of his mansion on Earth so she could contact or visit him whenever she finished her preparations, and was ready to begin teaching him. As Naruto returned to his main camp, he instructed Aiza to take Lilith to Selene and incorporate her into their group. He even hoped the two would get along since they were both vampires in some fashion, Lilith a true vampire feeding on blood and Selene a psychic vampire feeding on psionic energy. Anyway, he was pleased that his little vacation had been productive and did not fail. Naruto wanted to do something constructive after returning from the otherworld, so he portaled to his new, collecting, headquarters, where he stored everything he had accumulated by borrowing stuff from others. Right now, the whole structure was being decked with the valuables he had stolen from Dracula. He had collected so many antiques and gold here that he believed Dracula was one of the wealthiest persons living. During his regal existence, the guy had amassed an excessive collection of paintings. Naruto could see why the guy called himself Count. However, they were not Naruto's biggest prizes. His primary prize was in the subterranean laboratory underneath this location. When he visited to that particular facility, he found scientists doing different tests on dead corpses, building intricate apparatus, and attempting to further their specific studies. There were dismantled sentinels' corpses, alien-looking technology, and strange weaponry under development. In a separate enclosed chamber, researchers were doing surgery on Apocalypse's shriveled-up dead corpse in order to better understand how the metahuman exterior body functioned. As Naruto discreetly observed all of the researchers at work, one of them approached him. "Good day, Master. I am really happy that you were able to find sympathy in your divine heart to forgive me and give me a chance to serve you and truly work for the betterment for all metahumans. I have heard some of your plans, Master, and I have to say that they are not only brilliant but realistic as well, at least more than Xavier's and Eric's plans. What we are doing here will be able to change the entire world for the better." Forge replied with a passionate voice. "It's okay, Daniel. After all, it's a job of a god to forgive his believers and set them up on the right path." Naruto grinned at him. "Thank you, Master, but please call me Forge. I left that name behind in my previous life as a human shaman." Forge said in a contrite tone. Sure. So tell me, Forge, how is the Sentinel production going?" said Naruto. "Quite good, my lord. We have now mastered the art of making ordinary grade sentinels. We have even managed to create a unique, master mold, level sentinel with Miss I's help. But we are still researching how to convert normal machines and organics into sentinels as well using master mold's advanced science. It was originally supposed to be able to do that itself, but unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, that function of it couldn't be perfected by Traskin." "What about the evolving ones? Were you able to use the genetic material I sent you?" Naruto said, recalling Vanessa's blood sample, which he had obtained from her and delivered to Forge in an attempt to create an evolving faithful sentinel similar to Nimrod utilizing Copycat's greater duplicating abilities. "Yes, we did get it and even tried using it, but even with Miss I's help we need more time to develop a stable working model that would work perfectly and not evolve uncontrollably and go rogue. Although even in that case, no matter what happens, these evolving sentinels will always have a limit. We estimate that a sentinel can only evolve to have an alpha level power but never an omega level." "What about the serums?" Naruto inquired again. "That's a little more complex. My expertise and quirk is mostly in engineering, so I'm not that good at genetic engineering, and the rest of the scientists here aren't either, at least not near the likes of Stark, Pym, or Richard's level intellect, so progress in that direction hasn't been as smooth. We'll need a lot more time for that. Although I have to admit that Apocalypse's unique carcass, the U-Men data, and even Magneto's remains did a lot to advance the research. The vampire ash was completely useless. It appears that vampires are completely supernatural and aren't really compatible with science, at least not the ones you found, Master." Forge admitted, "I was having some moral issues at first, but the experiments that I worked on with Magneto had severely damaged my morality. Also, the thought that these research and experiments on dead bodies could one day help the entire metahuman race and bring prosperity to the world was quite encouraging." "I see. Don't worry, I'll find some good talent. I have a few people in mind for that." Naruto grinned strangely. "But until then, make do with what you can. We cannot afford to waste precious time. We are gonna need many of these inventions soon, especially the weapons, sentinels and the serums that I told you to develop." Naruto remarked with a serious voice. He attempted to resuscitate Trask when Psylocke informed him where he was buried, but he was unable to do so. He could feel his power working but coming short of the juice. So he determined that he either didn't have enough divine energy to resurrect a person who had been dead for a long time, which he questioned since he had so much energy, or he just wasn't skilled enough to use the perk. He felt it was the latter. As you say, Master, Forge said, having learned the custom of addressing him Master from his other disciples. In fact, most members of his organization were now referring to him as Master, while ordinary metahumans all across the globe referred to him as God of Mutants. Only his closest friends, and those who knew him well, called him Naruto. However, he was snapped out of his reverie when a boom tube formed in front of him. Master, there is something wrong with the X-Men, Celine stated in a frightened tone as she emerged from the freshly built boom tube. Aurora called us. It's Jean. She is dead. What do you mean she is dead? She is supposed to be one of the most powerful Omega-level mutants out there. She can't be dead. How did what happened? Naruto forced himself to calm down and settle his emotions. He sincerely liked, if not loved, the redhead, despite the fact that he wasn't an expert on love and had no idea what it actually meant. But she was the only female he had ever taken out on a genuine date. Of course, the others went on dates with him, but these either ended in brutal sex or entailed murdering and torturing metahuman haters. Well, Storm didn't tell me much, just said that she died while saving them and she was a hero. Aurora was breaking into tears whenever she tried to say anything. She was so ashamed at Jean's death that she didn't even want to see you. I knew that Jean girl was important to you and your plans, so I decided to come here and inform you immediately. Celine spoke with a neutral tone. I see. Thank you, Celine. I should go see the X-Men and find out what exactly happened. I think they need to answer a few questions of mine, Naruto grumbled. He entered the academy shortly after opening a boom tube with Aiza. He wasn't very upset since he had a general understanding of what had happened to Jean. This was possibly her Dark Phoenix narrative, in which she was considered dead for a while before resurfacing as the bad Dark Phoenix. But he had no idea if this was the Dark Phoenix tale from the old X-Men movie chronology, the new X-Men Dark Phoenix movie storyline, the comics storyline, a mix of all of them, or a whole new version. He couldn't simply leave this be. What if he had altered the world so significantly that the storyline no longer mattered? What if Jean couldn't fully unlock and awaken her Phoenix side and required his help? What if she was indeed dead and needed him to bring her back to life? That was one of the primary reasons he was even visiting the home. He wanted information before taking action. He needed to know what had occurred. He didn't want to be one of the characters who made a mistake they would later regret because he was upset and didn't listen to the complete narrative. There were far too many scenarios that occurred only due to misunderstandings in the comics. He didn't want to put another one in there. As he emerged from the boom tube in front of the academy gates, he entered the school grounds without waiting. He didn't teleport inside straight since he didn't want the X-Men to assault him thinking he was an enemy. Because if that occurred, Naruto may lose control of his emotions and badly damage or kill several of them. Even so, he'd most likely be able to resuscitate the most of them. Perhaps only a handful with magical histories or bloodlines, such as Nightcrawler, would be difficult to bring back since the souls of supernatural creatures are more protected by underworld forces in their own afterlives. Naruto, you are here. Colossus was the first to see and identify him, as he stood outside the main building, looking at the sun with sad puppy dog eyes and regretting the death of one of his comrades and comrade. I am sorry that. It's okay, big guy. It probably wasn't even your fault if I were to guess. Just tell me, where is the professor and the others? I need to know what happened. I need some closure right now, Naruto said. He honestly did not blame Peter. From what he knew of him, he was the Captain America kind, the kind of person who would give his life to rescue others. That was one of the reasons people adored him. Even Naruto respected him. The principal's room. They are mourning right now, Peter stated in a quiet voice with a pronounced Russian accent, tears welling up in his eyes again. He couldn't even talk coherently because of the overwhelming anguish and shame that had built up within him. Nonetheless, this was the first time one of their comrades had perished. Naruto headed directly to the principal's office and said, "Thanks. Colossus followed him as well, a mournful expression on his face. Naruto saw that the school was mainly deserted today. The majority of the teachers seemed to be in grief for Jean, therefore there were no classes. The whole school environment was dismal and dreary, as if the institution itself was grieving for one of its earliest and nicest kids. "Hello, Charles," Naruto said in a chilly, serious tone as he entered the principal's office without knocking and glared down at the bald professor, who seemed to be even balder today, if that was even possible. He seemed to be very stressed and anxious. Naruto's fury subsided somewhat as a result of this. Perhaps the bastard is also hurting. Naruto considered if he was at fault for what happened to Jean, but he wasn't going to let this problem go. He wanted closure and would make certain to have it. He also wanted to vent a little, even if just vocally. He also glanced at the other persons in the room. The majority of the X-Men were present in this room, along with some unfamiliar faces. Aurora seemed to be suffering from acute sadness, whilst Bobby, Kurt, and Kitty appeared to be mentally exhausted. Hank was unable to meet his gaze, and Cyclops had grown a beard in a short period of time and seemed to have taken up heavy drinking, as he could hardly stand straight. Logan's face seemed harsh, icy, and expressionless, but it was clear that he was gripping his fists so tightly that they were constantly bleeding owing to his nails and monster power. Logan seemed to be suffering from intense remorse, and he most likely blamed himself, as he usually did when someone close to him died. He also saw a few new faces, including a teenage girl with brown hair with white streaks and eyes that had become red from sobbing too much, and a small child playing with a lighter as if nothing had occurred. Naruto was irritated by this, but he managed to remain calm. The female was most likely Annemarie LeBeau, also known as Rogue, and the other should be Pyro. Naruto didn't recall his actual name and didn't really care. Interesting, it seems she has already joined the X-Men despite the fact that Brotherhood does not exist in this reality, Naruto reflected as he examined the southern girl. She was one of the mutants he had urged Aiza to keep a watch out for and, if possible, lead the X-Men to them. She seems to have done a fantastic job. He just had to convince Polaris, Scarlet Witch, and a few more metahumans to join them to form the top team. The narrative is moving quickly now. Maybe I should take care of the insane reality-altering mutants soon. He planned to deal with the more dangerous metahumans as soon as possible before they caused harm to the world or, worse, the multiverse. "Ah, Naruto. We were thinking of calling you to the school for the burial," the instructor began. "What happened?" Naruto cut him off because he didn't want to hear any more nonsense. He needed to know what had occurred so that he might take action or better prepare for what was to come. He was really regretting embarking on his adventure. If he had known, he would have joined the X-Men for whatever operation or function they were attending. "Well, a few children from our school were kidnapped recently by a corrupt government agent named William Stryker, including Pyro and Rogue here. The entire X-Men team, including me, went after them to rescue the children. We were successful in it as well, but Stryker had the last laugh. He himself died, but he had activated a self-destruction protocol of the entire hidden base at the last moment. The protocol destroyed a dam near the base and flooded the entire area. We were all going to die in it if it were not for Jean. She faced a difficult choice between her own life and the lives of her comrades. She chose the latter. She single-handedly held off the entire flow of the released dam water and bought us time to escape, but she herself couldn't. We would have all been dead if it were not for her," the instructor stated with a cool head. Naruto wasn't sure how he was feeling right now. He wasn't very furious. No, the emotion he felt was much more nuanced. If he had to put a name to it, he would say he was annoyed. He wasn't furious with the professor for letting Jean die. He was angered by the way he phrased it, as if Jean had done some great virtue by sparing their lives while sacrificing her own. He was annoyed by the fact that, despite the obvious tension on his face, Naruto's words lacked any hint of regret or sorrow. Naruto wished he had telepathy right now so he could know what was going on in the professor's thoughts. Even if he had it, Naruto would probably be unable to read the professor's thoughts since he possessed one of the most skilled brains in the world. "You are a fucking hypocrite. You call yourself a pacifist, yet you make your students into child soldiers to spread your ideology. You warn people not to abuse their gifts, their quirks, yet you use your telepathy on everyone who comes across you, never asking for permission. You should be ashamed of yourself to sit on the chair of the principal of a school. Naruto said with an angry tone. Hey, you don't get to say stuff like that, pretty boy. The girl died because she was careless. No one told her to sacrifice herself for us. It was her choice. And truthfully, it's a good thing, because in exchange for one life, all of our lives were saved. And as for the professor, this was the first time this happened. I am sure he wouldn't just leave her there if he had any other choice. Pyro, the punk-looking child, abruptly spoke up. He had recently discovered his power and was feeling very confident in his abilities. That's why he seemed very self-assured, because of his impressive ability. Furthermore, he failed to acknowledge Naruto's status as the supreme being among metahumans, completely unaware of the imminent threat to his own life posed by this deity. Even Cyclops, the professor's favorite, remained silent for now. Scott was deeply affected by Jean's passing. He was deeply infatuated with her and couldn't fathom the thought of losing her. He was pointing fingers at everyone else on the team for this, including the professor. Anyway, Naruto didn't want to engage in a dispute with the passionate youngster. He had more important tasks to attend to. Despite feeling a strong urge to retaliate, he managed to maintain his composure. If he lacked the ability to manage his own temper, he believed that any adolescent fueled by hormones who encountered him would be rendered unconscious. So Naruto completely ignored the child. However, what caught his attention was the professor's subtle flinching expression when the kid uttered the final two lines. Is he truly remorseful for abandoning Jean there, or... Oh, I recall a plot in the comics where there was a group of X-Men led by the professor. Unfortunately, they were left stranded on a treacherous island infested with man-eating creatures. He erased the memories of his other students when he concluded that he would not be able to save them. Naruto suddenly recalled, his eyes almost flashing. He smiled to himself. He had discovered a reliable method to undermine people's faith in the professor and gradually sway them to his own side. Can you confirm if this was the professor's initial instance of such behavior? Has he never left any other team members behind in the past? Has he consistently provided support whenever his students required it? I'm curious about the previous group of X-Men that existed before our encounter. I wonder what became of them. Naruto's words sparked a sense of intrigue. Xavier wore a look of sheer terror on his face. Little did he anticipate that his most significant error, which he had desperately attempted to conceal for the benefit of himself and others, would one day be exposed before his students. He displayed a strong reaction, with wide eyes and a tight grip on his armrests. What are you talking about? The professor never had any other students before this. Jean was his first student. Their batch was the first X-Men ever and the only X-Men after that till now. I would know because I knew the professor from the very beginning. Believe me, I would have remembered if I had made any costumes and equipment for others. Tell him, Professor. Professor. Hank McCoy, the Beast said confidently as he looked back at Charles for support. However, the professor was unable to counter Naruto's assertions. The individual in question appeared to possess credible evidence to support their statement, which led him to believe its validity. Charles was unable to exert any influence over Naruto's thoughts or erase the information from his memory. He had attempted to establish a connection with his mind previously, but without success. He was aware that attempting to manipulate the other X-Men's memories would be less effective now. Many of them had since acquired mental shields or discovered alternative methods to safeguard their minds, thanks to Naruto's earlier cautionary advice in Egypt. He had no way to escape from this situation. He decided to be honest. It was a long time ago. The original X-Men were sent to investigate a mysterious island that had appeared in space. It was a straightforward mission, but unfortunately, something went wrong. I lost communication with all of them, and despite my persistent efforts, I couldn't reach them. I formed a fresh team of X-Men and dispatched them to save the original members. Despite their limited training, the new recruits possessed powerful mutations. Miraculously, they managed to rescue the original X-Men. However, a twist of fate occurred when the island mysteriously vanished, trapping them all within its confines. Despite my exhaustive efforts, I was unable to locate any trace of them or gather any information about the island. Regrettably, I had to come to the grim conclusion that they had perished. The others were gradually succumbing to grief, burdened by self-blame. Their mission had not been executed to their satisfaction, and it was taking a toll on their overall performance and personal lives. In response, I took the necessary steps. I meticulously eliminated any evidence of the vanished X-Men and made a solemn vow to never speak of them to anyone, ever again. But that still doesn't address the question, why don't I or the rest of the X-Men remember anything? Beast inquired with a touch of urgency, not eager to entertain the inevitable answer he anticipated. He not only erased the traces of those innocent metahumans who believed in him, in his ideology, but also the memories of anyone who ever knew them, Naruto revealed without mercy. One of those individuals with extraordinary abilities was your own brother, Scott. What? I have a brother. Are you being serious? Scott glanced at both Naruto and the professor, trying to ascertain the veracity of what he was being told. I had a brother and he died because he tried to rescue me. He died because of me. No, he died because of you. You were responsible for his death, just like you were responsible for Jean's death, Scott exclaimed, reaching his breaking point. The once respected image of the professor shattered in his mind as Cyclops confronted him, aiming his visor directly at Xavier, ready to unleash his destructive laser sight. Hold on, Scott. Aurora was the first to attempt to halt Cyclops, although she was a considerable distance away. No one else had the courage or quickness to approach Cyclops as he prepared to unleash a devastating laser blast by opening his visor. However, to everyone's surprise, the laser miraculously missed Xavier. It wasn't due to anyone's intervention, but rather because Scott had closed his eyes and appeared strangely calm. Meanwhile, the professor sat in front of him, deep in concentration, with his classic pose of touching his forehead with 2 fingers. Everyone in the room had a range of expressions on their faces when the professor's actions towards his students were revealed. However, their surprise grew even more when they witnessed him taking control of Scott's mind to protect himself. Despite the fact that Charles was merely trying to protect himself, the effortless display of power in controlling others' free will served as a stark reminder to everyone in the room of the professor's unfettered access to their thoughts. They were utterly vulnerable to the well-intentioned individual. This heightened their underlying unease and distrust towards Xavier. They were all quite protective of their minds and memories. They were dissatisfied with the professor's ability to manipulate their memories as desired. They started questioning the extent to which the professor had tampered with, concealed, or completely erased their own memories. The actions you have taken towards your students without their consent can be described as a deeply disturbing violation, comparable to a serious crime. Your behavior, Professor, is reprehensible, much like that of your associate Magneto. He had a strong belief system that took precedence over everything else. He was determined to achieve his dreams, no matter what it took. This determination sometimes blinded him to his own behavior, causing him to be influenced by his ideology, much like you are now. It would be wise for you to reflect on your actions, Professor, before the consequences catch up with you. The world has a way of balancing things out, after all. You lack knowledge on the subject, Xavier responded with desperation, unable to provide any justification for his actions. Honestly, I am not even angry at you. I am feeling let down. I initially wanted to reprimand you, perhaps even eliminate you, but now I simply feel sorry for you. The outcome of your situation hinges on the judgment of your own students, the individuals who placed their trust in you and were ultimately let down by your actions. I am indifferent. Aurora, could you please inform me about the location of the incident involving Jean? Naruto asked, turning to Aurora. Oh, and just to let you know, the quintuplets won't be returning here. I believe it is inappropriate for them to continue residing here, constantly exposed to the risk of manipulation by individuals such as yourself, he concluded his statement to Xavier. Fortunately, the Stepford Cuckoos were absent from the school during the abduction as they had traveled to France with their mother, who was actually attempting to exploit her daughters to attract Naruto. Both the mother and daughters were aware of this arrangement, but it seemed that neither party minded, as they were mutually benefiting from the situation in their pursuit of his attention. Charles believed that the Stepford Cuckoos possessed comparable telepathic abilities to his own. He acknowledged that their combined power in an uni-mind could potentially render him powerless, making it impossible for him to harm them. Furthermore, he took pride in having shared his extensive knowledge of telepathy with them, including valuable insights about Cerebro. However, he refrained from speaking, fearing that Naruto might retaliate and cause further harm to his already injured limbs. After Naruto received the location of the place where Jin died from Aurora, he promptly departed through a boom tube without engaging in further conversation with anyone else. I can't believe I was even considering helping the professor with his leg issue using my new ability. Sigh, people like him really don't appreciate my goodwill, he thought, expressing his frustration at his earlier naive idea. Professor Xavier's point of view. How did this happen? I can't believe I find myself in this situation. Everything was going smoothly. The X-Men were thriving. My ideology was gaining traction, attracting a growing number of students. Despite the unfortunate loss of Magneto, my close companion, I remained determined to pursue my dreams. I simply desired for mutants and humans to coexist harmoniously, striving for genuine peace between our two races. And I was on the verge of achieving it. Despite Naruto's indirect rule over Genosha and the Council's assistance, I remained undeterred. Not being granted a seat at the ruling consulate did not dampen my spirits. I persevered in my fight for the rights of metahumans. I continued accepting students from all corners of the globe who sought my guidance, who sought the education provided by this esteemed institution. Everything I have ever done in my life has been driven by a commitment to this school and the greater good. Even when I made the decision to seal that immense power within Jin's mind, it was a necessary action. No individual should possess such overwhelming power. Jin would not have been capable of harnessing it, and no one can be relied upon to responsibly handle such a formidable force. I assisted Jin in managing her abilities, ensuring her safety and the safety of others. To achieve this, I orchestrated a situation where she believed her best friend had passed away and influenced her parents to entrust her care to me. It's frustrating when others fail to grasp the weight I carry. They only focus on my mistakes and behavior, without considering the consequences they bring. I am a compassionate individual who strives to protect the lives of metahumans, regardless of their alignment. I made an earnest effort to rescue Magneto during his confrontation with Naruto, utilizing Cerebro's assistance. Despite Eric's unfortunate demise from Naruto's ultimate strike, I exerted every effort to preserve fragments of his astral self that were harmed in the process. However, I am diligently preserving the fragmented pieces of my dear friend's mind within my own mental realm, with the hope that one day I can utilize them to bring him back to life. If Naruto possesses the ability to resurrect, surely there must be others with similar powers. I must simply locate someone with such a capability. My only concern is that I do not miss the opportunity when it arises. Although I consider myself a person of integrity and strive for harmony and honesty, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of sorrow when Jin passed away. She held a special place in my heart as my first and most formidable student. With her exceptional abilities, she served as our invaluable asset, capable of effortlessly handling any formidable adversaries that the X-Men would otherwise struggle to overcome. She was our ultimate safeguard. I was deeply saddened by her passing. It was a great loss for me, as she was not only my strongest student, but also one of the most powerful members of my exceptional team. However, I was compelled to disclose my most significant secret by someone who seemed to have divine authority. This secret was the only imperfection amidst my otherwise flawless decisions. Unfortunately, none of them comprehended that I made that decision to spare them from enduring constant sorrow, ensuring that it wouldn't hinder their performance. I made a difficult choice in this situation, driven by the desire for the overall benefit. I ensured that their memories were altered to provide them with more carefree and guilt-free lives, sparing them from the burden of their comrades' sacrifices. However, none of them truly comprehend the sacrifices and challenging decisions one must occasionally make in life. Nevertheless, I have no regrets about my choices. In fact, I would willingly make them again if necessary. It is my duty as a knowledgeable adult and mentor to guide these children. It's quite disappointing that even my most dedicated student, Scott, fails to comprehend the situation. The school administration has taken the drastic step of removing me from my position as principal. Currently, I find myself confined to my own room, contemplating the so-called punishment that awaits me. Wow, they really are just kids. A storm is approaching, I mutter as I observe the dark clouds gradually gathering in the sky, likely a result of Aurora's unfavorable disposition today. Less than Aurora Munro, perspective greater than. Have you ever experienced a time when it feels like everything is falling apart and you're unable to prevent it? That's exactly how I'm feeling at the moment, lost and overwhelmed. I wish I had been the one in Jean's place, equipped with her expertise. I long to possess the ability to intervene and prevent the disastrous flooding. Alas, altering the past is an impossibility. I will never forget the initial encounter with Jean. Her innocence and sweetness were truly remarkable. She consistently displayed genuine kindness. Our friendship had always been strong. Despite the recent competition for the affections of the same person, we managed to preserve our bond without allowing it to impact our relationship. Regardless of the circumstances, we consistently provided support for one another within the team. Even in situations where our safety was at risk, we remained loyal to each other. I vividly recall the final words Jean uttered to me as she ushered me into the jet and sealed the doors. She entrusted me with the responsibility of looking after Naruto, even in her last fleeting moments. I find myself overcome with emotion whenever I attempt to reflect on her. The fact that she has departed so suddenly is still difficult to comprehend. It almost feels as though it's not real. However, at a time when I believed my life couldn't get any worse, Naruto informed us about the actions of a certain individual who tampered with our memories, causing us to completely forget about an entire team of X-Men. This not only angered me, but it also left me devastated. Throughout my life, I had unwavering faith in him, in his beliefs, his determination to assist metahumans. However, it has become clear that he lacked faith in us. He doubted our ability to cope with the pain of loss and regain control of our lives in the days to come. So in turn he shattered our trust and violated our minds. It's truly shocking that someone in a position of authority could betray the faith we placed in them, especially considering how devoted we were to their every word. His actions had a profound impact on all of us, including Logan, who had always been appreciative of the professor's assistance with his lost memories, and Scott, who had been the professor's staunchest advocate. Taking the professor out of his role and placing him under house arrest was likely the compassionate course of action, as Cyclops had a strong desire to harm him and seek retribution. Cyclops only managed to calm down when Logan warned him of a potential physical altercation. I'm not sure what to do about the professor. I don't want to simply let him go, but I also don't want to resort to extreme measures. Despite his betrayal, he did support and take care of us at one point. Oh dear, I'm feeling quite lost and unsure of what steps to take next. Perhaps Naruto could somehow bring Jean back to life, which might explain why he kept the location of Jean's death a secret from us. However, I recall him mentioning in Genosha that he lacks the ability to revive individuals who have been deceased for an extended period. Therefore, it is unlikely that even a deity like him could resurrect Jean. Excuse me, is this institution still accepting students? A voice called out from the door of the faculty room, and a person with blonde hair appeared. I apologize, but unfortunately, that is not possible. The school is currently closed for an indefinite period, Hank replied from his desk. Oh, that's unfortunate, and I traveled a long distance just to secure admission. I researched extensively about this school and eagerly anticipated studying here and experiencing some thrilling escapades. By the way, nice tuxedo, Mr. Beast. The girl spoke in a disappointed tone, yet didn't forget to commend Hank, who appeared even more disappointed than me. Hold on. Rest assured, this school is dedicated to serving the needs of metahumans and will continue to do so, regardless of any circumstances. Regardless of the individual serving as the principal, the school will continue to operate. Indeed, this school is open. You can register for admission, I stated confidently, with a strong determination to keep this school open and provide assistance to metahuman children. That's interesting. That was an exceptional speech. It was so powerful that it gave me goosebumps. By the way, my name is Cool, Gwendolyn Poole, the girl introduced herself with a confident tone. She spoke in a deep voice, seemingly attempting to imitate someone. It was quite intriguing how she managed to bypass the school's extensive defenses and gain entry. Apologies, but we have yet to uncover any information or leads regarding Jean Grey. We reached out to her parents as you directed. It is surprising that they have not shown much interest in visiting or contacting their daughter directly, relying solely on the professor for updates. After conducting a thorough analysis, it was discovered that someone had tampered with their thoughts and cognitive abilities. I hope you understand to whom Psylocke reported her findings to Naruto. It appears that my assumptions about Jean's parents were correct, despite the fact that I was primarily speculating during that debate with the professor. You know what? This is beneficial for us because we have obtained additional evidence against him and a potential means to fully sway Jean to our side upon her return. He carefully strategized his next moves. However, can we be certain that Jean will return? I saw the dam, and it was an impressively large structure, Psylocke remarked with a slight frown. You are making that statement without fully understanding the immense power that the girl possesses. She possesses incredible abilities as an Omega-level metahuman and is also the host of the immensely powerful Phoenix Force from the multiverse. I'll be surprised if she doesn't come back without a scratch, Naruto said confidently. Please inform the Cuckoos to prepare themselves. They will need to utilize the Cerebro in the near future. Now is the moment to begin the search for Jean's psychic signature and to actively recruit the most skilled and exceptional metahumans. Aiza has nearly completed constructing its replica, which is even more robust and superior to the original, he stated, a faint smile gracing his lips. As you wish, sir. Elizabeth Braddock bowed respectfully and departed to carry out Naruto's instructions. Are you all prepared? If you believe that you are not yet prepared or require additional practice, we can consider delaying this. Naruto observed as the quintuplets prepared to occupy their newly enhanced Cerebro, which the Cuckoos had playfully dubbed Cerebra. No, we had ample practice. Now it's time to get serious. I mean, gain some practical experience. Celeste's face turned red as she realized the implications of her words. It's all right, Celeste. I sincerely hope that everyone remains safe and unharmed. This machine is incredibly hazardous, particularly due to the modifications made by Aiza. Don't worry, sir, we won't be harmed. We not only received guidance from a knowledgeable source but also underwent training from a highly skilled individual. While the person may not be the most wise, they certainly possess a wealth of resources and experience in manipulating others. Phoebe playfully remarked, "Stay for more." If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe for more amazing videos.